Chapter 2 is on how to build a one-page application. It's a little longer than the other one. And notice they talk to you about how to start a new website, how to add a web form to a website, how to use the IDE. Some stuff we've already kind of covered. Teresa, you might want to look at this if you don't have a lot of experience using Visual Studio, because they give you some of the shortcuts, etc., that you can use. Notice, maybe I should have waited, because they are going to talk about validation. All right? So I've shown it to you, but they'll show you better than I did. Then they'll talk about how to add the code and how to run some tests. Again, the tests, when they, we're going to be doing the stuff exactly the way that I showed you. So shouldn't be any surprises. So we'll go into creating a new website. I've already showed you a little bit of this. All right? We're just going to follow their steps, just so you know, for this chapter. We're just going to follow their steps. All right? So we'll go through here. We'll talk about how we'll add another form after we've got one. Not hard at all. We've sort of looked at that stuff already. The how to work with the IDE, I'll talk about it a little bit, but you guys, whether you were in the VB.NET class or the C# class, if you were indeed in one of them, you've had extensive experience with Visual Studio. So we'll talk about it, but just not a lot. All right? And again, they tell you how you can change from design mode to split mode, to source mode. We already looked at that. So some of the stuff, I've already introduced it to you. How to add folders. The key thing to realize, if you would all just please for a second look up here, not that this is a big thing, but just so you see it. If I right mouse click like I showed you before, remember when we added the image folder, we went add, and we went new folder? Everybody see that? Notice there's also an add in ASP.NET folder. The app code that you see right there, I'm sorry, the app data that you see right there, that's where you typically put your databases, is in an app data folder. It's not mandatory that you do that, but it's considered good programming. I think it's app data, not app code, but by the time we get there, I'll let you know for sure. Where they have theme, remember I showed you the other day a little bit on themes? We looked at that Halloween website when it was all orange and black and then in white. You put themes inside of a theme website. But these are special folders that have ASP.NET connotations associated with them. Notice that one of the ones that's not there is there is no image folder. So that's not considered part of, you can put it in there, but you can create ASP.NET apps of which images are not a part. All right, if you want it, it's not normally done, but you can. It's like you can create a textual website. All right, so they'll show you how to add folders, how to open and close the web page, the dialog boxes, etc. The open website box, I've shown you a lot of this already. How to use Visual Studio to build a web form. How to add elements. Guess what? That's what I had you do. All right, they're coming back and they're having you, the one-page thing is the one that we're working on. It's the future value. All right. But we'll come through there and we'll do it the way they do it, and we'll add the table. There's a lot of ways you can add tables, just so you know. I can come in here if I want to. I can come right in here, all right, and I can just literally put in table tags. And the smart code will check in, because notice if I put in a table tag, whoops, yeah, it put in a tag for me. Notice how it automatically puts the end tag in for me? And I can put that, I could come back and add a table after the fact if I wanted to. Or I can come in here where it says tools, and you say there's nothing in here for tables. Yeah, because in here, you've got to be in design mode. So the system thinks you know exactly where you want to put it. So if I was up here and I wanted a table, I can go, notice table, insert table, and all I tell it is, what do I want? Borders, rows, and columns. It puts it in there. It puts in a blank table, and it puts in empty table tags for me, table data, and table row tags for me. So just to show you, I'll leave it at 2, 2. Boom. I put it in there. Notice there's 2 and 2. And if I come back into source mode, see what it put in? It doesn't put in header tags because it doesn't assume that you want headers. But it'll build the table for you. So we'll go back and we'll rebuild the project on Tuesday, but we'll do it the way they show it, step at a time. I think there's a lot of value to doing this. If this bores the hell out of you, then do something else. All right? But I want to make sure everybody is up on, for lack of better words, kind of a common focal point when we're doing this. All right. So how to add text, that's what I just showed you as far as doing that. Notice how to format a table so you can make it wider, narrower, etc. if you want to. How to add the web server control. So some of this I'm not going to spend much time on because we've already done it. You've already shown me you knew how to build the form. But we're going to start brand new. It's brand spanking new with nothing in it. All right? All right. How to set the properties for the controls. All right, you know some of that already. You know, going over to the properties window. We'll talk about, as it says, some of the common properties. Then we'll get into validation, and we'll do it the right way. All right, we'll do it the way they show it in here. That's the NuGet thing that I mentioned to you. It's not hard, but it's a little quirky. What I mean by quirky is last semester, for some reason, some of the machines, they had a hard time loading it, and other ones just went like that. So not to pick on them, but we know if there's going to be a problem, we know which Travis will have the problem. Not what he does, but it'll be something with that machine. All right? So we'll talk about that. Then they have you put in the code, and they explain the code a step at a time to you. So I've already explained it, but we'll go back and we'll take a look at it again. That's not a problem. All right? How to add the code, how to get into the editor, etc. What the load method does, what the init method does, etc. Some of the stuff we haven't even looked at. There literally are hundreds of events that run when you run an ASP.NET application. The only ones that do something are ones that you add code to. All right, so we'll take a look at a couple of those, one of which we added code to, and some of which we didn't add code to. That's the same code you just put in. All right, and then we'll talk about how to test it. All right, a little bit about the browser, and that'll be it. I'm still not going to give you homework. I'm hoping that we can get that one done, that particular one done, on next week on Tuesday. I want you to do one more thing for me. I'll have you done before 11:20. So just one more thing, and then we are finished for the period. That is, oops, not there. I want to go back. If you're in your virtual desktop, all right, save what you're working on and close the solution. Okay? All right, so we're back to here, right? I want you to create a brand new project, but please watch me. All right, I should say website. So I want you to do a file, new website, like we did before. But, and this is actually how I should have had you do it before. I'm going to have you click on the web forms site right there like it says that. All right, and we will save this. Probably you don't, we've got future value, probably we'll just call this future value 2 because it's the one for chapter 2, or even CH2 if you want. But this time choose ASP.NET web forms site. Okay, do that and click OK. Make sure it's file system here, but that's the default, so unless you changed it, it already is. So click OK. It's creating the project now. This is how I did it the first time I showed it to you. So there's going to be more stuff in here that we didn't have before. Notice there's a lot more stuff that's built in here. But what I want to show you is, take a look under scripts. Look familiar? They've updated it. Last year when I taught this, 1.10 was the thing that was in there, but for Visual Studio 2012, they had loaded Java Query 1.4. So they were way behind. There were ways that you could go and you could put the updates in, but it was a pain in the butt. But now they've updated. 1.12, I think, is the newest, so they're pretty recent. All right, just so you know, you can do it now if you want to, or you can do it when you come back on Tuesday. But the only thing that we're going to do is we don't need this about ASPX. We don't need that form. All right? So I'm clicking delete. We no longer have that form. Okay? I removed that one. And I'm going to go, and I don't need the contact form, so I'm going to remove that one. So I remove the about form and the contact form, and it's fine. We've got a site master on here. I wish I wouldn't have done it, but it's okay. And for the default, I don't like the name on that, so I'm literally just going to change it. You can either click on it until it turns white like this and change it, or like I showed you the other day, you can right mouse click and choose rename, and we'll just call this again future value. Everybody cool with what I just showed you? Any problems with that? I'm going to hit enter. It's now changed. And I want to make sure that when I right mouse click on here, that's set as start page. All right, let's make sure I didn't break anything. Notice came up future value. That's always a good sign. All right, that's the garbage that's in there right now. Don't worry about this. This isn't going to work because we removed some of those pages. I don't care. We're just right inside of here. We're just going to remove all this stuff and build the future value form in there. And did we have to do that? No, but I wanted to show you that when you bring in a project like that, that you get, without having to add it, you get that stuff in there. You understand what I'm saying? You get the scripts and stuff. All right, because this is the last time we're going to probably do it like this. But I just wanted to expose you to both ways of doing it. That's all. All right? So don't worry about it. Even if yours doesn't look just like that, we'll get it fixed. Again, what I'll do is everything I build on Tuesday, I'll save. So it'll be in there. So if you fall behind or if something doesn't work, heck, if something doesn't work, raise your hand and Mike or John will come over, even if John's in the class. They'll come over and they'll try to help you. And it's Mike's, Mike's responsibility technically. But if Mike's helping Zach, and then the other Zach has a question, John will come over and help him, or I will. We got a small enough class that, there's a good chance that unless everybody has their hands up, you'll have somebody who can help you. But don't do what I said the first year people did. Don't, say, well, I'll catch up later. If you really fall behind, let me know, because that's not my intention to have you fall behind. All right, now I kept you to 23, so I'm done. When you're all done with this, you probably do want to save. All right. Okay, well, we'll go back and take a look at it. Again, it's the stuff that I'm talking about with that is fairly minor stuff. You'll get it to work. I mean, you're bright enough that you're not going to have a problem with this at all. Now, when we get into writing classes in C, that'll be a little bit more problematic for everyone. All right, because that's when the code will really start, boom. There'll be a lot more to it then. But this stuff, you're not going to have a problem with it. Yeah. Okay, that's a good question that John just asked, just so you know. So let's say you're done with the future value program, you got it to work, all right? Or let's say that you did the before picture, where let's say I had you turn it in twice, once without the code and once with the code. So John gets his done, he builds his interface, and he wants to make a copy of it. The best thing you can do is literally copy the entire folder to another folder. Rename the other folder. Then internally, don't rename anything. So you'll have all the old names, even if one's future value and one's future value 2, I don't care. Because I've tried doing it the other way. I've even followed Microsoft's instructions, and sometimes it works, and sometimes, for lack of better words, it's problematic.